She got 2 boys. She feel like she's doing it all by herself, even though she ain't by herself. She really didn't have no support, and she doesn't have any family, but yet she has support and family, supposedly. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, she fell in love, when she was young. She can think back and remember when it was just her and her sisters, you know what I'm saying? And every time they would come around, the boys would basically run them off. Like they was just, they was too young. They was just little girls. They was too, like, gone, y'all gone somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And so, but there was this one dude that was nice to him, you know what I'm saying? He didn't talk to him crazy, and he didn't treat him like, like they was unimportant, you know what I'm saying? He recognized him, talked nice, he was nice to him. And so, they drew to him. They grew to like him because he was nice to him, you dig? Being nice and being friendly goes a long way, you feel me? And, when you're genuinely nice and kind-hearted, that sticks to people. You know what I'm saying? Everybody may not say nothing, and everybody may not recognize it, but it really does stick. So what happened was they went home and told their mama, or they told their daddy, reference, because girls always gonna go home and tell their mama, on the side, but they went home and made the announcement to their daddy. Yo, daddy, there's this dude, and he treats us cool. He respects us. He doesn't treat us like yesterday's trash. You know what I'm saying? He don't talk to us crazy. He takes care of us. He sees about us. You know what I'm saying? He cares about the things that we care about. And so when they went home and told the report of this young man's kindness and how, he's a nice person at heart, the dad was like, what? He was like, oh, invite him to dinner. Send him around to the house. Invite him to dinner. I want to talk to him. So you know how it is. They cooking the meal, getting the dinner prepared. My man is, strolling up to the house. And, they have dinner. They have good conversation. Obviously, the girls wasn't lying because the daddy turns out to, kind of like the dude. Think, you're all right. You pretty straight. You know what I'm saying? And so there was this. It was one of the girls out of the sisters that was kind of digging on my man's. You feel me? And she was kind of liking him, and he was kind of, he was kind of liking her. You know what I'm saying? And so this was young love developing, right? And so they hooked up. Came, got together, and, he wound up, marrying a girl, and Pops was cool with it, right? And so they was ready to start their family. Now she's in love, you know what I'm saying? They happy, she liking dude, you know what I'm saying? He ain't no, he's easy on the eyes, you feel me? And young, strong, intelligent, well-rounded, knowledgeable, you know what I'm saying? He may not be the most smooth with the speech, but because of his intelligence, it makes up for whatever, lack of vocabulary skills he might have had, lack of oratorical skills he might have possessed. It made up for his intelligence and his knowledge and his kindness and his good looks. And he was a nice body built dude. He wasn't no slouch. You dig? So, yeah, young love. You know what I'm saying? They marry. They decide to, of course, go make their way. So he takes her and moves her, away from her family. You dig? And they start their own life. And in the midst of life, he takes on this really, really important position. It's heavy, you know what I'm saying? And he becomes responsible for a lot of people. You dig? A lot of people become, kind of sort of like his responsibility. And because of that, old girl starts to feel kind of left out. She kind of starts feeling left behind because of this tremendous responsibility and weight that's been put on her husband's shoulders. You dig? On top of that, leaving left out and feeling left behind, I'm sure thoughts of feeling less than creeped in, because she's all around all his people now. She left her family. You dig? She left her family back there. She's with him and his people. So I'm sure all these things is creeping in and other things have come into play. You dig? So in her feeling isolated and left out and alone, I'm sure, it became where she was getting irritated, maybe even feeling a little resentful. You dig? Feeling like, what have I done? You know what I'm saying? I didn't left everything I had, everybody I know. I got a son with this man, and he don't never seem to have no time for really me or his son. And quite frankly, I'm getting fed up with it. I'm getting tired of it because, come on, man, what about us? So in the process of time, what happens? She has another son. And people may say, why would you have another kid? He ain't really even got time for you in the first one. But, when you're in love and you're trying to do the right thing and you're trying to, walk in and doing the right things, on top of feeling like I ain't got no support, I ain't got no people here, maybe things will change if I have another baby. Maybe things will change. It could have been just, look, we don't already have no time together, and when they got together, it was on and cracking, and then she came up pregnant again. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, she comes up pregnant again, has another son. Do things change? Do things get better? No, they don't change. They don't get better. The same responsibility is yet still there. It's even probably at this particular time gotten even more heavy. You dig? So he even has less time. Now your frustration and your anger is starting to turn to bitterness and resentment, right? Because here you are feeling lonely, less than, feeling, like not worthy. What the things that women go through and how the enemy plays on their emotions and how even their own mind plays on their emotions, right? Not feeling validated, not feeling heard, not feeling appreciated, right? And so now it's turning to bitterness and resentment. Now you're resenting your life. Now your attitude is negative in your relationship with your husband, right? Now I'm starting to lose respect for you. Now I'm not starting to see you in the proper way that I should be looking at you as my husband, but as a man in general. You know what I'm saying? Because of all the feelings that I'm feeling that have been allowed to fester and not be dealt with. Not only did I not deal with them, but you never seem to have the time to deal with them. And then in my mind, it became you never seemed to be interested in dealing with them because everybody else was more important than me and your kids. Who does that sound like, y'all? Come on now. I know it ain't hard to figure out. Who does that sound like? An angry, bitter black woman? Yeah. Because that's who she is. She's become an angry, bitter black woman. And she was in the Bible? We're going to talk about it. But before we talk about it, please like this video, share this video on all your platforms. Make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button so you're always notified whenever I upload content. You dig? Now let's get into this. We talking about an angry, bitter black woman, y'all. This angry, bitter black woman was fed up. She was tired, and she had had enough. She had had enough of feeling alone. She'd had enough of feeling, unimportant. She'd had enough of feeling unappreciated. She'd had enough of feeling like she was inadequate and, not heard. She'd had enough of raising those boys, by herself. She'd had enough of following all these rules and regulations that she never signed up for in the first place. She just had enough. And when it came time to, hurting my son, in her mind, hurting my sons and doing it unnecessarily because some God that you follow, that I never signed up to follow, said so. I just don't, I don't understand that. I don't understand that, and I don't agree with it. And I'm voicing out my opinion. I don't agree with this. But her voicing her opinion was just that. It was her voicing her opinion. It didn't change the outcome of what needed to happen, because what needed to happen is what God told Moses needed to happen, and would be a covenant between him and his people. And how could he enforce everyone else to take part in this covenant if his own sons wasn't taking part in this covenant? You did? And so, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now you want me to now you want me to agree to cut my sons? You want me to agree with you to bring hurt to our children? And you want me to say and believe that this is God's will? That this is, and you're okay with this? No, I did not. No, I didn't been through a lot. I done done a lot, right? I married you. I left my home. I had kids with you. I've lived this lifestyle with you. But dang it, now you asking too much. You asking me to hurt my children, and I can't see that. I can't see that this God that you serve would want that. And the scripture reads in Exodus, the 4th chapter, starting at the 24th verse down to the 27th verse. And it says, "And it came to pass, and it came to pass by the way in the end, that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet, and said, Surely a bloody husband art thou to me. So let him go. Then she said, A bloody husband thou art because of the circumcision." You dig? But see, what had happened, y'all, was because of Moses' disobedience in this area, right? He felt, because it was such a grievous disobedience, and it was such a two-faced thing that he was carrying, it started to physically make him sick. It started to just, it started to have a physical toll on his body. This mental disobedience that he had been carrying, right? It was weighing him down. On top of the unhappiness and discontent with his wife that he was having to deal with, right? Because of his position and how he was pulling on him, and how, he didn't have the time that he used to have to be able to spend with her. And now she had became very angry and bitter over, the last several years. And now that this needed to be done, and it hadn't been done, and she's watching her husband kind of like, go through this sickness and deterioration, and not understanding why, now she's starting to feel like God is punishing her. This God that everyone is serving is punishing her husband because of her anger and her bitterness about not wanting to comply with the very thing that God told Moses would be the sign of the covenant between him and his people. She was having an issue with that, but yet she was also seeing her husband, who she did love. She had some issues, but she loved him. But she didn't know where to place the blame, so now she placed the blame and anger against God, right? You're the reason this is coming upon us. You're the reason why, blah, blah, blah. You're the reason why, blah, 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 blah. Now you asking me to do something that I totally disagree with and totally don't believe in. And now you're punishing my husband because I don't want to do this thing you say. Right? And so because of her anger and her bitterness, and it had solidified, and it had not have been addressed, and it got to the point to where now she was blaming God, she circumcised her son herself. She, who was not a priestess, she who was not qualified, she who had all this negativity in her heart and swirling around her, took up the knife and circumcised her son herself. And then out of disrespect to God, not to her husband, but out of disrespect to God, because of the responsibility that she placed on her, that he had placed on her husband, because of the weight that she felt God was making her husband comply with and do, she threw the foreskin of her son at Moses' feet, and it landed on his feet as a final act of compliance, but compliance not out of love and honor and trust, right, in the covenant, but compliance out of anger, disdain, and disrespect. Who wants that kind of compliance? But she was an angry, bitter black woman. Now, I'm not saying she didn't have reason to have some issues. Not saying that she was invalidated in some of the way she might have felt. But what she did was totally not validated. It was totally not cool. It was totally done with the wrong heart, with the wrong motive. You dig? And it really put her husband in a precarious situation. Now, it's not her fault. He's partly to blame because he should have been done this, right? He should have been taking care of this a long time ago, but he didn't. And because he didn't take care of it, he just tried to, kick the can down the road and pass the buck down the road. And I'll deal with it when I get with it down the road. But when they get down the road, he get there, he kick it a little more, you see? Because he didn't deal with the situation way back there, when he should have dealt with it way back there. He might have had this angry, bitter black woman. You feel me? So let me encourage you. If you are in a relationship to where your spouse, your significant other, isn't giving you the attention that you feel that you need, that you feel unheard or unappreciated, you feel like you need more help, you need more support, you need more assistance in whatever area it is that you feel like you need that help or assistance or aid in, just open your mouth lovingly and say it. Especially if you know that your significant other has an extreme amount of weight and responsibility and pressure on them, right? Of course, you want to be supportive to them because you recognize what's on them, but yet you also have to open up your mouth so that whatever you're feeling, experiencing, and carrying does not become a weight and a sin that so easily besets us. You dig? Listen, we can't be effective. We can't be effective witnesses. We can't be effective producers of good works. We can't be effective in our own mind, our own mental and emotional and spiritual capacities. We cannot be effective if we're angry, if we're bitter. We can't love properly if we're angry and if we're bitter. We can't give properly. We can't even speak to people properly and really mean it from the core of our heart with everything that we resonate and vibrate on the love frequency. It will not go nowhere as far as from your mouth to the flow if you're angry and you're bitter. Got to get rid of the anger and bitterness so therefore we can vibrate on God's frequency. We can elevate our thoughts and our speech and our heart and our doing for one another, our giving, our time that we share. We can be effective if we get rid of, clear ourselves of the anger, the bitterness, the negativity, energy. You dig? That's how we can start loving again and feeling like ourselves again. Don't you get tired of being angry? Don't you get tired of feeling, bitter and just all tightened up and tensed and feel like you can't trust nobody and everybody's plotting against you? Doesn't that take a lot of energy to do that? I mean, sometimes it's draining for me just thinking about it when I'm trying to explain it to y'all in these videos. You dig? It's so much easier to be light and positive and loving, because we are light beings. So if you're struggling with anger and bitterness, just get rid of it. Let it go. Acknowledge that you are angry. Acknowledge that you're bitter. Acknowledge that, these things happen to you. But once you acknowledge them, which you've probably done 1,000 times, let it go. And I know the video is, titled Angry, Bitter Black Woman. But this is not just for black women. This is for men and women. If you are carrying bitterness and anger in you, get rid of it. Because you are hurting you with that anger and that bitterness more than you're hurting anyone else. And why do you want to hurt you? So just get rid of it and start operating in love and joy and peace towards you first, so that can be what's given out. You dig? Your man Levon, one love. Remember Lamella E, love, uplift, motivate, inspire, learn, laugh, encourage, and enlighten. You dig? Let's encourage one another. Let's lift one another up so we can be happy, vibrant, and positive, and not being angry and bitter. You dig? We already have enough to deal with.